Broadcasting live from our Columbia, Maryland headquarters. They are founders of Hard Money Bankers, REI 360, and are international bestsellers with their book, The Whiteboard. Here are Jason Balin and Chris Haddon.
Hey everyone, Chris Haddon, Jason Balin, co-founders of hardmoneybankers.com, REI360.net, here with the show. Cool topic, one that we are passionate about, interested in, and I think a lot of it is going to come as a surprise to most people. The title is How to Win the Day. And this has to do with business productivity, just kind of life productivity and stuff in general. And here's the main thing to get. The concept behind what we're going to talk about today is this. On one side of things, in anyone's business life or personal life, you have what we call transactional activities. Transactional type stuff that has to be done, right? And on the other side, we have growth or optimization type activities, either making bigger or making better. And we put a big line down the middle, and we're very careful about how we define the two. Here's why. A lot of people get caught in the trap of all transactional stuff and then labeling it productive.
Sure.
Business and personal life, no?
Yep.
And sometimes just getting stuck on that side of here's what I have to do all day long in the transactional world, never getting to the growth and optimization stuff, it's a big trap. And it's very, very common.
Yeah, let's talk about some transactional things inside all of our businesses. If you're a real estate investor, let's say you're a real estate investor, for instance. If you're a real estate investor and you do, I don't know, you write a contract, you go look at a property, you meet with a buyer, pretty much all things that are a given, things you have to do. They're
doing
all
deals, doing your stuff.
They're all your daily activities. If you're a real estate agent, go into a potential listing appointment. Listing appointment's arguable, actually, both sides. But go into a home inspection, go into a closing. Like for instance, if you closed 5 deals today, that's great. Don't get me wrong. And those 5 deals that you close today, you are going to make money on tomorrow. All good stuff, but it's a little bit different. That's a transactional type of activity, and it's not a growth or an optimizational stuff. Now, we all have transactional activities that we do on a regular basis.
Yep.
We like to define them as we try to spend 50% of our day on transactional inside the business activities and 50% of the day on growth, winning, playing offense activities.
Yeah, and that's our routine. And we've, after defining this stuff, and even like we might touch on a couple ways that we track this, but after defining this stuff and getting used to it, that's what we do naturally now. It's a normal part of a day and a week, and a lot of our days or weeks end up looking the same, and it's 50% growth and optimization stuff. Most people don't do nearly close to that.
Well, most people aren't doing any of the other stuff. It's just all in the transactional because it's just busy work all day long that you're getting yourself into. You create a business, you get deals, and you have flow that comes in. You're selling products, you have people coming in your door. That's all great. That's part of the business. Like, it's supposed to be that. But at the same time, those, you can't say like you won the day because of that. Those are just transactional activities that are at the bare minimum, givens.
And that's exactly the trap, is that people will load up their day with transactional activities and be like, wow, this is a rock star day.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so let's talk about...
let's jump over to the other side and talk about
Let's talk about the fun stuff, the growth stuff, the stuff that, the offensive stuff, the stuff that you can really feel proud that you win the day. Because, like for instance, like we close about a deal a day at Hard Money Bankers. We close 1 deal every day, and there's a lot of days that we won't close a deal, but it was still an ultra productive, potentially even profitable day. We still won the day just because we didn't close a deal. Yeah. So let's talk about
jump into some of yours. List some of your stuff that we call it scoring points, or the stuff that wins.
Sure.
What are some of yours?
All right. So I track stuff daily, and I think you track stuff daily as well. But at the very, very minimal, I'll track stuff on a weekly basis because there's some things I don't do on a daily basis. Sure. So some things are, and let me just talk about a few things weekly, and hopefully some of the things that I do you can adapt to in your personal business as well. But I do 2 private money minutes. Which are 2 videos. They're content pieces. Yep. We do this show. We do this show on Wednesday. I have a goal to spend some additional time with 1 employee every week and try to do some training, try to help them grow. I try to brainstorm 1 additional marketing activity that we're currently not doing in order to try to expand and to get more leads in the door. I mean, I've got endless ones because we've made these habits. Right? Similar to you. Like, what are a few that you catch yourself doing on a regular basis, and then we can talk about some other ideas that hopefully you can adapt to. But like, what are a few that you work on?
Some of my most common ones. Well, a couple of them are related to like personal life and business overlap. Like learning is for me like listen to a podcast, reading a book, something like that. I try to do one of those every day.
Right.
Exercise, same thing, and I get those most every day. And the way I describe that to my son, for example, is I say, every day we try to work on our brain, on the body, on the wallet. And he's learned that over time.
Yep.
And kids might even do that better, being in school, being in sports. And some of that stuff tends to fall off when people are working adults, which I think is a mistake. So those things are kind of staples in my day. Making content, like what we're doing here, or if I'm doing email broadcasts, for example. Same with marketing stuff. Investing some of our own funds into assets.
Assets is a good one.
Yeah.
That we look at regularly.
Also quality time with like an investor client or staff or somebody like that. I call it QT, quality time. Business events, functions, stuff like
there's
that.
endless amounts of them. There's a lot of them. It's just
those are some of the common ones that pop up every week.
A lot of business owners don't put that in their regular routine because maybe they don't think it's important, or they don't realize it, or they're too busy working on the transactional inside the business types of activities on a regular basis. Now, keep in mind, depending on what business somebody's in, what we call a growth or a winning or a positive action may just be a transactional action for them. And I give you an example of that. Like if you create content for somebody as a business, your business is creating content for somebody, that's transactional for you. For us, it's not.
Good point.
It's content for us.
Yeah, it's growth for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different examples. So if anybody wants some examples that we've spent a lot of time, probably the last 5 years, we've kind of created this list. And long story short, we were going to create an app called the Day Winner app, similar to this. Instead of us tracking it internally, we could track it on an application digitally. So if anyone needs a list of what we believe are the Day Winner offensive actions, comment below, reach out, just say who you are, and we'll give you a link to it. And there's probably about 20 of them, and they're broad enough that doesn't matter what industry or what business that you're in, it's suitable for you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the main takeaway for anyone watching or listening should be that just be critical with yourself and your own routine and your own day. And what causes to trap is like people it's in essence like excuse making. One is doing with themselves, saying like, well, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do that. I can't get to marketing. I got to do all this. I can't get to whatever. And people
time. That's the excuse. Time then.
It's time, and it's also just discipline about what you do and don't do. Like there is Jason and I, for example, there's a limited amount of stuff that we even do in a week, but a lot of it's what we would call productive and point scoring. And then there's a gigantic list of things that we just don't do.
And that changes. And the funny thing is, the more production and the more transactions we did, the more time we actually spent on the positive stuff. And not because we have excess staff and any of that. Like if you're a one-man operation, it's the same thing. It is straight mindset of what I should be spending my time on. I mean, that's all it is. We realized that, and keep in mind, if you spend time with a quality time QT with an employee today, or with a new client, or you do this today, that doesn't pay off a dividend tomorrow or later today like a transactional will. You do client work for somebody and you're getting a check from them tomorrow. You're doing a closing, you're getting a check today. That's great. So all of this, but at the same time, that ends, right? I mean, the only people that have a pass for this is someone who just has more business consistently forever than they ever know what to do with. And that's very far between, because you may say, well,
if you're already at the top of your industry, then all right, you get a pass from this stuff because you already won. You already won a lot of days.
Well, and you don't want to grow anymore.
Yeah, and if you don't want to grow, you don't want to grow.
That's it. And if you're starting out a business, 90% of your day should be these growth things. Like you need to figure out a way to take your day-to-day operational, transactional stuff out of it. You need to figure out a way, and I'm not saying necessarily automate it, delegate it. Just figure out a way that you can, get it kind of in proportions, so you can spend the majority of your day on winning positive actions. And that's the reason we called that out to begin with, the Day Winner, because that's how you win. You want to be playing offense on a regular basis and not let your defensive tendencies come in by being swamped with transactional work.
For sure. And let me throw one question at you before we wrap up. What's one thing that you would like to add into your day or week that you're currently not accomplishing?
It's a good question, and you know what, I thought about that. I thought about that earlier today when we brought up this show topic. One thing every day, or one, it probably wouldn't be a daily. It would be a week. It would probably be a weekly thing.
We can put that one on hold if you want.
No, I think just like, I'd love to do a little bit more. I mean, we do a lot of marketing campaigns, but I'm always looking for the next marketing campaign, the next brainstorm on figuring out other ways to, get bigger in this industry and do more deals.
Okay.
How about yourself?
The one that I've not been able to get consistent with is meditating. It's been very inconsistent for me, and everyone just raves about it and improves so much stuff, and it's not like it's trendy or like a fad or anything like that. It's like legitimate benefits in all aspects of life that I've not been able to incorporate into my own routine consistently. It kind of jumps in and out. I go through, so if anything, it would be that.
Cool, fair enough.
Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed listening and watching REI Hard Money Bankers show for today. If you want a copy of what we believe are some of I think there's about 20 in that list, in order to win the day, just comment below, put in your information, be happy to send it out, no problem. Like, share, review, comment, share, review. Did I say all those again? Until next, subscribe.
And let us know, one or two of your own things that you're doing to win the day. Help us out too.
Cool.
Right. Cool.
Thanks, guys.